Welcome back to Chicagoland. This great fight town is ready for another action-packed main event. Art Simonyan takes on longtime championship-level veteran Agapito Sanchez. Simonyan's trying to bounce back after his first loss. Sanchez wants another shot against the best, and he's been there before. This Dominican New Yorker has fought Barrera, Marquez, Pacquiao, and even beat Johan Guzman and Javier Jauregui. On the other side is Art Simonyan, and he has had a shorter drive on that pro road. In July 2003, he faced Carlos Contreras. Simonyan's crisp, accurate counterpunching was the difference. He claimed the U.S.A title with a unanimous decision win. Then in 2004, right here in Chicago, he took on well-regarded undefeated southpaw Hassan 3K Battery. The 3K Battery wasn't fully charged. Art totally dominated a lackluster fight. In December, Israel Vasquez quickly dismissed him in a title shot. Art was dropped 3 times and stopped in the 5th. Sanchez has had much more memorable moments against the best in the biz. In 2001, he had a technical draw with pound-for-pound elite Manny Pacquiao. As has been the case many times with Sanchez, it was a dirty fight. You see the clash of heads there in the 2nd round. Then Agapito was docked points twice, once for trying to rub glove laces into the cut on Pacquiao's eyes, another time for a blatant low blow. In the 6th round, Manny's cut forced the premature reading of the scorecards. It was a technical draw. His most recent big fight was a TKO loss to Carlos Navarro. Sanchez took the fight for a big paycheck, but wasn't 100% healed from a previous cut. That was costly. Navarro opened up the cut. He constantly peppered Sanchez with headshots and combos, and the ref would step in and stop the fight in the 11th. Still, both main event fighters are confident that they can make a move into the updated rankings. It's a must-win situation for 2 very talented fighters trying to erase their recent past. So the stage for the main event is set. Art Simonyan, Agapito Sanchez. There's Art Simonyan, 29 years old, 5'7", 122 pounds. He was a star amateur in Armenia. He moved to the United States in 2000. He lives in Glendale, California. That's a very large Armenian community. His last 5, the fight with Israel Vasquez, that was for the IBF world title. Art left the ring with a cut under his left eye, a battered and bloodied mouth, and his first career loss. And there is the 35-year-old Agapito Sanchez. He had a long stay in Brooklyn. He now has moved north to the Bronx. He gives up 3 inches. He's only 5'4", and he weighed in right at the limit of 122. And Agapito has 36 wins, but only 3 have come in his last 5. The other 2 both KO losses. Teddy, what's the fight plan for Sanchez?
Oh, the veteran Sanchez, number 1, catch him going. Simonyan likes to step back. We talked about it in his tips. He likes to step back to set up counters. If you step and punch with him, as he goes back, you can catch him. Number 2, downstairs and work, don't grab. Since Simonyan likes to use his legs, going to the body to slow him down makes sense. And since Simonyan likes to work on the outside, getting inside and working would also make a lot of sense. And finally, number 3, don't go south of the border. You have been penalized many times for low blows, and they have even caused you to lose fights. Keep your body shots north of the border. Keep it clean.
And the gentleman who will be watching out for those low blows tonight is Pete Podgorski, your referee for this scheduled 12-round U.S.A title fight.
Give the belt to Hiawatha. All right, men, 12 rounds or less for the title. First and foremost, protect yourself at all times. Obey my commands at all times. Touch gloves. Come out banging at the bell. Stay all the way back. Art, stay all the way back.
The ring experience heavily favors Agapito. He's been in with every major fighter at or near 122 pounds for the past decade. You see the total rounds, 366 to 85. So this is an old pro that's seen it all, done it all. And there is Art Simonyan. Said he had a lot of distractions back in December when he took on Israel Vasquez. Managerially, trainer issues. He vows that it'll be different tonight, and we will see the real Art Simonyan.
Well, to pick the tough, Simonyan has picked a tough opponent coming off his first loss and a KO loss, as you just said, Joe, 7 months ago in his last fight. Sanchez has fought 9 world champions, beaten 2 of them. Yes, he's 35 years old, but with all that experience, good tough opponent, as we said, for Simonyan to come back with. Sanchez has been knocked out 2 of his last 5 fights. And if you go back 5 fights, Sanchez had a gap of inactivity of 2 years, 3 months. Sanchez, difficult style. He'll move around, use the ring a little bit as much as his 35-year-old legs will allow him to. And then he'll step in and pick spots to do that. And that can be difficult to deal with. It comes unexpectedly, it's unorthodox, and it could be effective and has been effective throughout the career of Sanchez. And when he comes forward, sometimes he'll come forward a little wide. That's where Simonyan will look for opportunities to do what he likes to do, which is mostly stay on the outside, look to pick spots and look to counter. Simonyan has a habit that I think does not always serve him well. He pushes with that jab. You know, Pinell does not like that. Pinell knew you're supposed to snap that jab out. He used it very well to get some of those belts that Pinell garnered in his great career.
Bernell Whitaker in studio with Brian Kenny tonight. And you can see looks to be a clash of heads.
Well, both these
opened
guys,
up a cut already
both of these
over
guys,
the left eye.
Throughout their careers, have been billy goats. They have a propensity, both of them, to fall in with their heads, and both of them have been cut many times because of headbutts throughout their career.
Teddy, I'm going to tell you right now, this looks to be a bad one over that left eye of Art Simonyan. Of course, you just saw the footage of what happened when Agapito Sanchez fought Manny Pacquiao, and that went to a technical decision, which was a draw. That fight got so ugly and was so dirty that after the clash of heads that opened up a cut, Sanchez was trying to force the cut wider with the laces of his glove.
I'll be surprised if Sanchez receives a cut soon. Both of them have been billy goats in their career. Both fall in there with their heads. Both get cut numerous times in fights. Matter of fact, Sanchez cut in 2 of his last 3 fights.
So a cut here in the first round of action could greatly affect the remaining rounds here. Art Simonyan will have to deal with it. We come to the end of round number 1 on Friday Night Fights. Carlos Vargas in the corner of Art Simonyan, who is working on that cut over the left eye. Teddy, it looks like they're going to have to deal with that throughout the night. Here's how it happened, Teddy. First round clash of heads.
Very simple to see how it happened. That one was caused by Sanchez. The only thing is he didn't get the damage. You can see he used the top of his head. He came in with his chin down, with his head down. Simonyan, standing there a little taller, received the brunt of it, the worst of it, because the top of the head of Sanchez, which is not as susceptible to getting cut, which can be used as a batting ram, was used that time.
Well, thus the reason when we were introducing the fighters, I made a point to say that Sanchez is 5'4" and is giving up 3 inches to Art Simonyan. And that top of the head obviously used as a battering ram against the taller opponent, hitting that sweet spot right above the left eye.
Sanchez falling in with his punches, reaching in a little bit, which he has a tendency of doing. And being the smaller man served him in that case as far as not incurring the damage. As far as the headbutt, the top of his head striking the eye, which is much more vulnerable than the top of your head. Simonyan starts with a bad cut.
We need to get 4 rounds complete in order to get a fight that'll go to the scorecards if this fight is stopped due to that cut.
The man in charge of taking care of that cut and trying to make sure it doesn't get stopped is Carlos Vargas in the corner of Simonyan.
Keep him up, don't push him
Simonyan
down.
has a good young trainer, John Bray, former national amateur champion, does a good job, understands how to teach fighters, not just yell at them to go hit the bag and get in shape.
Really nice guy too. Good family man, loves, passionate about this sport, really committed to it and dedicated to it out in California. We saw him recently with Jose Celaya, obviously disappointed with Celaya's loss to James Webb. Bray said, you know, he just lost too much weight. He came down too too fast, too soon, try to crash to make weight for that fight. Halfway through this second round, Art Simonyan wearing the red, blue, and orange. Agapito Sanchez, the veteran, in the red and blue.
See that cut still bleeding. Angry looking cut
Let's be pros.
on Simonyan.
Over the left eye, caused by a clash of heads in the first round.
See, there's this style giving you trouble of Sanchez. Moves 1 minute, makes you fall asleep, lulls you to sleep, gives you a false sense of security. Then he does that, he jumps in. That's where Simonyan has to be ready to punch. There's a good and bad for Sanchez as he does that. The good is when he moves around, he decoys Simonyan, he decoys his opponents. He keeps them off balance a little bit, lulls them to sleep, and then he jumps in and he can be very effective as you saw a moment ago. But the bad side, the negative of that coin, Joe, is when you are coming in, Simonyan has opportunities to counter him. There are holes when Sanchez does decide to suddenly come in. He does it from a distance, as you can see. From a far enough distance, when he throws those wide punches, there are openings to counter.
Don't push.
See him lunging in that time with the jab and then tying up the feet and slipping to the ground as we come to the end of round 2. Dr. Glenn Bynum here with the Illinois State Commission, taking a long, good look at that left eye of Art Simonyan. I mean, they really greased him up like a pig there coming out for this third round. Art Simonyan wearing the orange and blue. Agapito Sanchez, the longtime veteran who's been in with absolutely everyone. Juan Manuel Marquez, Rudy Espadas, and Manny Pacquiao. Much better second round. Falls in with a big right hand that backs up Simonyan. Now he's pressing the action and swinging with the lefts and rights.
Usually it's a danger when you're coming in with wide punches, but right now, no danger for Sanchez because Simonyan's standing straight up, allowing him to walk in and catch him with those looping shots.
Big looping right hand, but Simonyan not taking advantage.
No, usually there's a heavy price to pay when an opponent on this kind of level of professional experience comes in with wide shots like that, Joe. Usually the other guy will counter you and make you pay. Sometimes put your seat on the canvas.
You know, and Teddy, especially against a guy who had all the amateur success of Art Simonyan, had a great run to start off his pro career and just fought for a world title.
But coming off a knockout loss, sometimes you're damaged.
Yes.
And usually all the time your damage can be very greatly damaged. And it can interfere with your action in the ring. Right now, Simonyan may be being a little hesitant, a little afraid to pull the trigger on those counter shots that he needs to do.
That's the question. Which Art Simonyan will we see? Will he go back to his old form that brought him to the top and gave him a title shot against Israel Vasquez? Or the Simonyan that was distracted, technically flawed, and went down twice in the third and once in the fifth against Israel Vasquez? He just took one there.
Well, there's plenty of opportunities, though, for Simonyan to turn this around again. When he does throw, he throws straight shots, usually with the right hand behind that jab. And there's plenty of opportunities to suddenly turn this fight around, which is going in the direction of the experienced Sanchez right now. Simonyan can get many opportunities to slip in a straight right hand as Sanchez comes in there with those wide looping shots, giving plenty of room for a counter. Matter of fact, right now, Simonyan's going to have to catch Sanchez to slow him down, take some of that cockiness, some of that eagerness away from the veteran Sanchez.
Sanchez has gained a lot of confidence here in this third round.
Difficult style. We said it right from the top, Sanchez. He'll move 1 second, and then the next second he'll jump right in on you. Not one, but two hands. But again, plenty of opportunities to turn it around on Sanchez. As he does jump in, it's usually watched. Look how far away he is. It's usually from a pretty good distance, like that, where you got plenty of time to see him coming.
And around 3.
Time.
Well, as you can see, there is a timeout here to start this fourth round because the concern in the corner with Art Simonyan is the cut over the left eye. And it's not the bleeding that concerns them. Listening to what they're saying.
Gotta be level.
Let's go, baby.
Wow.
That's too much.
Look at this.
Come on.
What are they, baking a cake in a pan? What is the amount of grease on his face?
Timer ready. Here we go. Box.
Is he sponsored by Crisco? I can't believe they're letting him come out with that much grease on his face.
Well, the late great, and Pernell Whitaker and Brian Kenny get a kick out of this, but the late great Customato, who was a terrific trainer, Hall of Fame trainer and manager of world champions, of course, Floyd Patterson, Jose Torres, and later Mike Tyson, used to say, forget about the grease. Why don't you try moving your head?
Break.
Yeah, right. Hey, that works too. All right, let's bring in Pernell Whitaker, who I'm sure had many experiences like that. Pernell, what do you make of Art Simonyan's greased up head here?
Oh, my gracious.
He'd be better off if he moved his head a little, wouldn't he, Pernell?
It was times when you could see a guy swing like Sanchez and it'll drive you crazy, but it seems to be working for him in this fight.
He's swinging like a rusty gate.
Simonyan, he just won't bend his knees. He just won't get out of the way. So obviously throwing them wide punches like that is being effective for Sanchez.
Yeah, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Just keep going with it.
Exactly. It's not something that I would probably want to tell a fighter in the gym to do, but this one right here, you can't help but to send him out there.
If it's working for you, you might as well stay with it.
Exactly.
Right now, Simonyan has a choice, as you said, either move your head to get away from those wide shots, dip inside them, or at least throw a punch and catch him in between one of those shots.
Exactly. And far as I see for Simonyan, he's just standing straight in front of Sanchez and enabling him to get that wide right hand in. And he could counter over that and put a stop to that if he figure it out.
This is a perfect case where if you don't want to move your head for defense, at least depend on your offense for defense. Simonyan could do that.
Exactly. If I was him, I would choose to do that.
Break, stop the wrestling,
hopefully that he can figure this thing out in the next 46 seconds and not get hit with one of them wide shots. Other than that, I just see Sanchez just keep landing that same wide right hand and come back with that wide left hook.
Thanks, Sweet Pea. We enjoy having you with us tonight. Pernell Whitaker, our guest analyst all night long with Brian Kenny. He's talking about counting down to the end of this round, and the importance with that is counting down to the end of this round. We're actually going to have a fight that you can put in the record books because 4 rounds will be complete, and they keep looking at that left eye of Art Simonyan. The concern being, Teddy, not necessarily the blood, but that it's getting wider and wider and wider.
This is where certain cornermen could do a little maneuvering and maybe not have stopped the cut in Simonyan's corner before it became official.
Time!
Here's what happened at the end of the 4th round, Teddy, after the bell.
A little bit of frustration there on behalf of Simonyan.
A lot of frustration for Art Simonyan, who suffered his first loss this past December, and now, once again, I believe they're going to call for the doctor to come over and take a look at the left eye.
I mentioned earlier, Joe, that, as long as it's within the rules, there's nothing wrong about what I'm about to say. Some cornermen would maneuver a little bit in the corner of Simonyan, and before it became where it is now, where it can be an official fight, they may have left it open where it would have been stopped before it went into the record books. But now it is in the record books. The doctor's going to allow it to go. And Simonyan, of course, with that bad cut, is in danger of losing the fight.
Joe Tessitore, Teddy Atlas with you. Sweet Pea, Pernell Whitaker, and Brian Kenny in studio tonight. You're watching Art Simonyan in the orange and blue, coming off his loss in a world title shot against Israel Vasquez, taking on the veteran Agapito Sanchez, who has controlled the action since the first round, which I think Simonyan probably had the edge, but rounds 2, 3, and 4, all Sanchez. You see the punches in round 4, Simonyan only landing 18%. The bigger storyline, aside from these big looping right hands that have been scoring for Sanchez, is the cut over the left eye of Art Simonyan. It's been dogging him for 3.5 rounds.
Simonyan standing straight up and waiting too much for counters, waiting for the counters and being late on pulling the trigger, maybe because his confidence wavering a little bit, as we said. Tough opponent in Sanchez to come back with for Simonyan off of his only loss in his career, and that being a knockout loss in his last fight.
Teddy's scorecard has it 4 rounds to zip for Agapito Sanchez. He has been in control, and now Timber Like a tree being chopped down, that one looping right hand sends Simonyan to the canvas.
Well, again, Simonyan standing straight up, doing nothing, and allowing Sanchez to jump in with wide shots, where a lot of times you would pay a price for that, and you'd get counted. No price paid for Sanchez tonight. The price incurred is by Simonyan getting caught and getting knocked out for a second consecutive time.
What a great one-punch knockout for the veteran Agapito Sanchez. And you know, Teddy, I really like the work of referee Pete Podgorski there, because there is a purpose to having the knocked out fighter walk towards you.
Yes, there is. Take a look at him.
It's not just protocol. It's not just to go along with the script. There's a purpose to it, and if you watch closely on the replay, you will see that when Pete asked Art Simonyan to walk forward, he was not walking steady. He was glassy-eyed, and Podgorski made a real nice call there.
Like a policeman pulling over a potential drunk driver and then asking him to walk the line to see whether or not he is truly impaired. Simonyan was impaired, not from alcohol, but from a looping right hand.
And your next boxing comes up here on Thursday night with the Fight of the Week 2 and a heavyweight contest between George Khalid Jones versus Freddie Moore. Next up, though, US PGA Golf.